Hello. You all came, a little light entertainment on it. Some laughs, some popcorn.
I want to say before we get started, by the way, I'm Jim Hemphill, I write about movies for AUR, and this is Bill Pullman. I want to mention before we get started, for anybody who hasn't seen part 2 yet, that it is going to be re-airing on Lifetime the first week of June, and you can also watch the whole thing. I think it's streaming right now on Hulu and some other platforms, so you can be on the lookout for it. It's actually kind of a milestone I learned preparing for tonight. This was the 500th Lifetime original movie. So I guess I wanted to start by asking you a little bit about the origins of this. How did it come to you, and what was your initial response to the idea of playing Alex Murdaugh?
It's funny, I was just thinking about it. I was standing out in the lobby towards the end here, we're waiting to come in, and I heard those dogs barking, and I jumped. And I realized, man, I still got it in me. Damn dogs. But the first time, I had just been told about it. Sometimes you're in the middle of life and the agents call and say you have an offer, and it's a guy, don't you know the story? He killed his wife and his son, and just that much was like, I'll take a look at it. But, geez, really? And then I had a couple things that were in the way of reading it, and I like to read in a clean way, without disruptions and things. So it took a day or so before I got to look at it. And then I read the script, and there was something in the dialogue. It was like I could tell there was something activated in the dialogue, and it turns out that a lot of it was the transcriptions. So it was on the page the way it was said, and because some of it was because this is such a phenomenal amount of cameras were on all aspects of the story, and the writer Michael Fickerman is he also crafted many scenes that weren't from transcripts, but they all kept that tenor, crazy syntax, and people. And so I started to look at that, and then I thought, this would be a good journey. We had to do it fast, but it would be worthwhile.
Yeah, and the writer did a great job, I think, of kind of replicating those rhythms throughout the movie, because I wouldn't be able to tell what was actually taken from life and what wasn't. I thought it was really good. But so you had no awareness of who this guy was. I mean, it was a very heavily covered story, but you were not. This was all new to you, who Alex Murdaugh was.
Yeah. I would say to my friends, I got a lot of friends in all kinds of places, and rural people in Western New York State, Montana, and urban people. I think turns out everybody was watching it for me. You're kidding. You know about this? Oh yeah.
In a way, though, do you think maybe that liberated you because you didn't come to this? I wonder almost if you had known about it, if it would have given you a lot of preconceived notions that might have made you afraid of it or not want to do it.
Well, it was a little bit like it got my hackles up, because the thing that a lot of them would say, oh, that guy, he's a slime bag. You're gonna play him? And I just thought, they all are gonna, why would they watch it? To see this guy that they know already is a slime bag, and he's what a loser, and they just start heaping on things, I think, to kind of, defend themselves from being infected by him or something, but they want to really identify. And I thought that's not going to be a good formula for this movie, because you've got to kind of suspend a little bit, be like the people that were around him for all those years that never saw anything underneath. there, you know. And they were not dumb people or anything. They believed he was their lifelong friend, and what a fun guy to hang out with.
Well, I do feel like throughout both movies, or both parts of the movie, he does become a little bit, I mean, I don't want to say likable exactly, but there's something about the way you played the desperation that I did find myself actually kind of feeling sorry for this guy at times, which is not something I would have thought going into it. You mentioned that there was so much footage of him. Once you took the job, what kinds of things did you look at or listen to that helped you kind of figure out his speech patterns, body language, and all that?
Well, it was somewhat of a occupational hazard to watch too much of it, you know, because it would just suck up all your time. You weren't ever going to learn your lines. It was so interesting, you know, and also I just had to, because of the time we had to shoot it, I knew I had to abandon hopes for certain things that I would have maybe been able to do if we had a little more prep time, but we were up against the strike, so, you know, we had to have our last day of shooting that I was in was the drop dead date for coming up with an agreement for the SAG contract negotiation, so we had to really get going fast, but I didn't get to explore certain things that I would have liked to have done. You know, because I even asked Vickerman, Michael, I said, you know, I think he does snooze. You know, the Copenhagen, the cut tobacco you put on the inside and everything, and Mike said, no. I watched all, he was there at the courtroom, we saw parts of the trial they've been working on for a year and a half. And, but I noticed in one of the dash cam things particularly, and then a couple other little things, he was being recorded answering the questions and crying and from time to time and answering, but then all of a sudden he jacked the door open and then come back out, you know. And I think nobody, but if you chew snooze, you gotta spit. But I couldn't work it in. It was like a bridge too far.
Well, I'm kind of surprised to hear that you had some little prep time, because it does feel like a really, it's a really transformational performance. And to the point that I just watched this again to prepare for tonight, and I was watching it, and then when I came out and saw you in the lobby, I was like, oh yeah, that's what Bill Pullman's actually like, because I was like just getting so used to watching you as this guy. And I'm wondering if having less time, I mean, you talk about how there's certain things you don't have the opportunity to explore, but are there any advantages to operating on a faster schedule in terms of like trusting your instincts and things like that?
That's, well, Jim, you know so much about movies, you know, the ones that come from behind without a lot of resources is kind of like, you have a special feeling about those movies, you know. And I think that because we didn't have a lot of time, we was really fortunate that Greg Beeman, the director, was as collaborative as he was, and we were very different people, but we just synced really well. And then the crew was really a very young crew in Canada who was outside of Vancouver, and they were all given like 110%. And I think some of that was can we pull this off? And it was for them, they had not been doing those drama stories before, and they were kind of really intrigued by what the scenes were. And so some of that just helped to make this little incubator that we were just going really fast and but feeling confident we were getting some.
Yeah, and I was surprised to read that I think the shooting schedule was somewhere around 30 days, which is pretty short for essentially a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. Yes. And then I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to keep up, because I'm talking all the time. And I go, oh my God, I really filled up, but Montana was very good producers and supported me and got, I gave my driver a little extra money to be able to hold book for me, come an hour early and run lines with me and everything, so we were kind of going by the seat of our pants, and, but no time for, mucking around.
Well, and something else, I noticed, because I watched this a couple of times now, and on repeat viewings, you realize what a different guy this guy is at the beginning compared to where he ends up. And, I'm guessing that like any movie, you're shooting this wildly out of continuity probably, and I'm curious how you were able to, on that tight schedule, kind of track the evolution of where this guy was at any given point.
Yeah, that was tricky too because of his weight. That was another thing I couldn't take on. Just so sure, but he was so heavy when it first was, during, at the time of the murders and things, and he was a tall guy, 6'4", so he really big, and then when he, by the time he was testifying and things, he really lost a lot of weight, and so we, had good costumer who helped, we had a whole strategy about how to do that. And that actually was kind of helpful because it could shoot out of sequences and my clothes were different, so I could be, if I started walking around in it, I had a different feeling in it, and it would put me in context of his journey.
Yeah, and I was wondering how important those collaborations are for you in a movie like this with the kind of people who are helping with the external aspects of the character, not just costumes, but like hair and makeup. How integral is that in terms of you playing this guy and finding the character?
Big part of my acting is hair color. And I've never played Ginger before. Which I thought, oh man, I've seen some bad dye jobs. And I just thought, we're going so fast, we don't even need money. And then they're very young, the hair and makeup women were very young, but they were competent, and they said, we've got a very good colorist, and it was pretty quick, because as soon as I landed in Vancouver, we were right in doing a lot of stuff with it, and so I just said, okay, let's go get the hair thing done, and then we pull up in kind of a mini mall, and it's, one of these smaller stores inside it, and I go in there, and it is filled with women over 55 that are getting their hair colored. I don't know, is this movie ready? And the woman that did it was very much like, I felt like, the butcher was looking at another cow. It's like the blood was already on her from everything. She had a lot of colors all from other dye jobs on her apron. Just don't go black. She was very matter of fact, very nice, worked really quickly and everything. And I wasn't really looking in the mirror or anything, and then all of a sudden, she took it off, and it was, I looked at it in the mirror and I thought, oh boy, here we go. It was a good job, and I could it felt different, wake up call, and it was, ended up being a good job.
Yeah, I mean,